He goes by T-REV, so we'll call him that as well, and he joins us now. Thank you very much for coming with your splendid YOLO hat on. You only live once.
I count my blessings for the days when I was down and losing faith. They made me patient. All I can say is thank you. I really wouldn't be the same if I ain't gone through all the pain. Look what it made me. All I can say is thank you.
Free Bryan, he was framed. It's the talk of the town. This comment right here, free Bryan, he was framed. Show me. It's crazy because, Jeff, I feel like this. I feel like there's more people that advocate for Bryan than they do the victim. At this point, we know that they have enough evidence to take Bryan Kohberger to trial. So the fact that there's people that are going on with like an ongoing investigation themselves, and they're putting out different things. They're paying $200 an hour to interview Enan Harsh. See, somebody tried to tell me, oh, that was just JLR that said that. No, it wasn't, because I talked to one other content creator that showed me a DM between him and Enan told him the same exact thing, $200 an hour, wow, and to promote his merch or some type of thing like that. I told the creator I wouldn't put him on blast, but he showed me it. He does charge $200 an hour, which is crazy. So people are actually paying that.
You know, I try to imagine if this was, you know, my son and he was at college, and, you know, you're talking to him one day and the next day he's gone. And man, I can't even imagine what the families are going through. I mean, it makes me want to stop this live stream right now and go call my son. I mean, they can't do that. I could pick up the phone and call him, text him. And it wasn't that long ago he's in college. So, you know, it's easy to forget, I think, as time goes by. We're so focused on this stuff, and if everybody's like me, I think about it every day. You wake up and you're thinking about it, and the gears are turning. That's why I think I love your channel the most, T-REV, because your channel is open to all opinions wherever they come from. You could come in with an opinion that it was a circular UFO, and I think as
long as we can have a respectful conversation, and at the end of the day, not argue, bicker, none of that, I'm cool with it.
I just think there's great value in that. That's principles that the country was founded on. Freedom of speech, and just be nice to each other, you know. And also, you know, what's very helpful I found is that if you just use 3 little words before anything you say, just say, in my opinion, and then say what you're going to say, because it's just your opinion. So what is somebody going to, like, you know, eviscerate you because of your opinion? That's just your opinion. This is the conclusion you've come to based on the evidence that you've been shown and that you've thought about for a long time. And you don't mean any rudeness by bringing it to the table. And if anything, if you're like me, I like to hear an opposing opinion to challenge and test what I believe and run it through and say, okay, either mine adds up or doesn't. And I got to rethink my thing. And thank you for sharing your opinion, because you made me think.
Right.
That's a beautiful thing.
I mean, we would have to put it this way, right? So say they did find some evidence in Pennsylvania, right, against Kohberger. So that means if he was framed in Idaho and they found evidence in Pennsylvania, and I don't know if they have or what they found in Pennsylvania, we just see the paper sheet that has knife, this, a Glock or whatever, his gun, this, that, and the third. So say they found evidence in Pennsylvania, then you got to add Pennsylvania in part of setting him up. So then you got a state that's all the way across the country. So you got to say the FBI, Pennsylvania, and I've talked about this plenty of times, but for the people who say that Bryan Kohberger was framed, you're talking about 4 different agencies working against him. Local Pennsylvania, local Idaho, local Washington, and then FBI. So you're talking 4 different agencies that possibly have to be on the same page, because what if they found some stuff at his Washington apartment? There you go. There's stuff in Washington also. So there's 3 agencies there alone from Pennsylvania, Idaho, and Washington. So to add in the FBI, to think that they would all come together and combine and just put Bryan Christopher Kohberger behind bars is crazy to me.
Yeah, there's no honor in arresting the wrong guy and sending the wrong guy to prison or worse. There's no honor in that. And I don't think, I mean, I worked just recently actually with some people that are, you know, with not FBI, but not too far from it. And you see that these guys, they take pride in their work. Their job the guys that I was working with, their job is, is to keep people safe during, upcoming large events and things like that. They want to get it right. You only get one chance to keep a crowd of people safe. I don't know. I just don't see law enforcement on a grand scale like you're talking about with Pennsylvania and Washington and Idaho throwing their careers away. It's like, this isn't the movie Jaws. Remember in Jaws, the mayor were like, we need the beach open. The crowds have got to come this weekend. This is our biggest moneymaker. We got to tell the people that you caught the shark, right? You did catch the shark. That's what I want them. That's what I want to tell the public. It's not like that. And I think people draw similarities to something like that. And I'm sorry, I just don't.
You see this comment?
I don't distrust law enforcement enough.
There is a such thing as crooked cops. I know that to be a fact. I've seen stories of it, right? But let's just be honest. You got to call it how you see it. There's DNA at the scene on a knife sheath. I know somebody borrowed his knife, this, that, and the third, and they must have borrowed his vehicle and all different types of stuff. But we won't hop into that. But there has been crooked stuff that's happened in our nation. I know that for a fact. I've seen the stories. For instance, I think it was either Chicago or New York. It was these detectives or officers were working together and they were working with gangs. And you have that. You have that type of stuff that goes on. Mm-hmm. But man, it blows my mind that people would think that all these different agencies would come together and just do this. You know what I mean? Like, they think that these agencies would come together and it would first have to start with somebody crossing over the border, or maybe a transaction with this knife to somebody in Idaho, and they commit this and basically have the same model vehicle, and all these different type of things have to fall in line.
Right.
Hold on. This says right here, Flowers for Free says, in my opinion, Bryan was a PhD student who was framed by a schizophrenic that studied Bryan and was told to do so through the voices he heard. Bryan asked about who else was arrested because he knows who set him up.
Now, why wouldn't Bryan say who that is? That would be, what would the reason be to keep quiet on it? Actually, too, that when Bryan said who else was arrested, think about it. That if prior to doing this, he thought about everything he was going to do, the order he was going to do it, and where he was going to park the car. He thought about every detail. Are you telling me after the fact that he didn't think for a moment, if I get arrested, what's the first thing I'm going to say? If I get arrested, he was thinking about that every day. Every time he got pulled over in Indiana, he was like ready to, the moment they're putting the cuffs on him, I know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, was anybody else arrested? Because I know it's going to cast doubt. It's going to make them think that there's others involved. And then maybe they can, for whatever reason. I also heard too, I don't know that it's true. I did a little search. I couldn't seem to find it. Where, isn't this something BTK also said almost these very same words when he was arrested? So part of me was like, okay, if he has thought about what he would say the moment he was arrested, is it an homage to BTK? It's like, I don't know. I really don't know. But I do think that if he knows that it's somebody else, there's no reason to not give them up. Look what he's facing.
I do feel like mistakes were made on law enforcement side, and this is where I think it came into play. The biggest mistake that they made, in my wholehearted opinion, is the fact that they told their community that they were safe. He was still free, he was still on the loose. They told the community, you're safe, there's no ongoing threat. So my question to that would be, you would have to have some type of idea about who it is, or were y'all honed in on a suspect at that time that you thought you had this on lockdown and you didn't have to worry about nothing because you were already surveilling this person? That plays through my head too, Jeff, because you got to think these officers walked up right there in front of us on a presser and said there's no ongoing threat at that time. And there was, really, if you think about it.
Now, I can't remember. Were they at that time saying it looks like it was a crime of passion? I think that might have been around the same time. So, my theory, I wonder sometimes if they did know or have kind of a sense or an idea who it might be. And that if they were, I'd hate to think that it was just a gamble. I think they're very knowledgeable about making a guess like this. But to be, I'm only speculating. Why they would make that comment. But could they have made that comment knowing, like, we think we know who it is? And when we make a comment to the public and he's going to hear it, you all are safe and it looks like a crime of passion, and then what is BK going to do when he's watching the news and sees that? They think it's the Jax. Yeah. They think it's the ex-boyfriend. And the same thing as my theory too, with, like, they said it was a 2011 to 2013. I think they honestly did say, they looked at the video and thought, I think that's what it is. Their expert that knows cars. Like, I got my expert is my stepson. I asked him, I say, send him a picture. He's like, oh, it looks like a BMW X6. Thank you. I think that's what it is. And I start doing the research, like, damn, he's right again.
Did Bryan even say that? See, that's the thing. We only heard that from Bryan Enton. If you're talking about if anybody else been arrested. Now, Bryan Enton put that out. Where he got that from, I can't tell you. So is Bryan Enton put out bullshit, or does he report properly? What is your opinion on that? I'll be looking for the comments. But I think that Bryan Enton's reporting is usually up to par, and that's who I mess with most on News Nation. Bryan Enton, I think, does thorough reporting, and he put that out. So where did he hear that from? He obviously heard it from somebody.
I would imagine too, if he had any doubts from the person who told him that, he would also have something in there that shows that he doubts what was said. So
I see a question for us. It's Mimi says, and thank you for the question. She says, why would somebody set Bryan Kohberger up? What reason would somebody have to set him up? And that's a very good point. What do you think, Jeff?
I mean, we don't have a lot to go on to know what kind of guy Bryan is. You could get Willie up here, maybe.
Like, to me, you're not my friend if you don't know shit about me.
I did hear him. It might have even just been yesterday or today. I think I heard him say, he knows people that knows Bryan well. Now, those are the people that he should be getting in contact with and seeing if they want to come up and share their experiences of Bryan. Those would be very, interesting stories to hear.
I mean, that's a good question, though, Mimi. Like she said, why would somebody set him up? Like I said, a good question for the simple fact that the guy had just moved there not too long ago. Who would have that reason to set him up? Maybe angry classmates that he was great and bad. If you wanted to take it that route, was he really out there hanging out with people? We don't know the full story. We just know what's put out. I've seen classmates speak on him. He was harsh on us on grading. But then you see the couple classmates spoke afterwards, though, or like after the murders, he was a different person.
Different guy. Yeah.
See, that's what got me. I was like, he was a different pro. What do you mean by that? And then he got to breaking down. Well, he was more, 100, 110 here. So you cocky now because you did something? Like, what was the difference? And I'm sure they may be even at trial and on the stand to testify to that, to say how he was different after these murders. Maybe that does take place at this trial.
It's a very interesting observation. I don't mean to be crude, but it's like, if you got a friend and he's been trying to get with this girl, and then he goes out on a date and he has a great date. The next day, he's a different person, right? He's experienced something. So not that this is, similar in any way, but what I'm saying is, like, it's just interesting to ponder on. It's like, okay, why is he so different all of a sudden? And it just so happened to coincides with this. Either he's into it, it's a thrill, or there's a part of him that feels extremely guilty for what happened. And now he's trying to make up for the awful thing he realizes he's done. So he's going to be extra nice to anybody that he encounters and trying to erase it from his mind of what actually happened. I mean, you can't erase something like that, I don't think.
Elena says, so true, Jeff. Anyone arrested, just the strategy, in my opinion. No one is involved. He is indicted for 4 counts of murder. He was a lone wolf boogeyman in the middle of the night. Law enforcement knew it was targeted, says you smell jealous.
Yeah, when they said targeted, what do you think about that, T? The house is targeted because it's got a perfect back window into, like, you can park back there right behind the house and just view the window in your rearview mirror. It's not like you're out there where everybody can see what you're doing and you're looking right into the house. You can sit in your car and just have the only thing that's moving, your eyeballs looking up at the rearview mirror, and you're checking out what's going in that window in the back there. And I've often thought that's all this was. That's how he chose his target. He just happened to find that spot, saw what happened, and the moment he saw that person, that image is in his mind, and he's ruminated over it every day, every night. He's chosen his target.
Another thing, if you remember, you were searching for a long time, and a lot of people in the Rev Gang family right now, especially from Discord, are searching for this too. Right around when he got arrested, Danny Van Sickle called in and said, hey, you remember that call from the Poconos?
Yeah, what's her name?
Kayla Troutman.
Yes.
Now, people are saying that I had got this phone call that she was in the Poconos and there's a white Elantra with Washington plates, and she called in, and people are going through that right now, but haven't been able to find it. I think they're up to like December 19th.
I couldn't find it, but I did have recollection of, well, I can't remember if I heard you guys talking about it or if I actually heard it. But yeah, the notion was that she's calling in. It's like, do you guys think I should report this? I'm over here in the Poconos and it's a white Elantra. And I remember, my understanding is you told her, yes, definitely report that.
I remember something like that coming through, and I told somebody to report it, but maybe people's minds are going to somewhere else, because I remember telling somebody to report it, but I don't remember exactly what it was.
He goes by T-REV, so we'll call him that as well, and he joins us now.
Voice of the voiceless, people get killed for other stupid choices. Standing up for the families that took a loss is something that we find important. Rap game strong, chest up. Little homie, keep your head up. You can be whatever you want. Get rid of the fake and it will lead up. All my life I strive for greatness. I'm manifesting my time with patience. People try to copy us, but respect is earned. It's not an obligation. I love the fam and they love me back, and that's why I always have the backs. I give a voice to those people who were never given a chance for them slimy cats. When you come here, you ain't a number to me. I really take time to read what I see. Don't forget to lock your doors, cause there's danger all up in these streets. Y'all really put life into the air that I breathe. I really am thankful for all of my peeps. Your loyal